guys, we're back one last time to talk about the new episodes of Steven Universe Future. The last new episodes of Steven Universe Future ever that we're going to talk about, unless for some reason this channel is still going on like 5 to 10 years from now and there's a reboot. And of course, I would do that because why not? Steven Universe. You watched it. I watched it. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. Show's amazing. I mean, I didn't get to... I watched the finale, but right after the finale aired, I got one of my roommates to start watching it, and he was binging season 1 of the original series last night. I watched like 15 episodes with him, and then he went to do some homework or something, and then came back, and I heard the theme song, and I was, yeah, we're doing Steven Universe. So, we're here to talk about the 4-part finale from Steven Universe Future. I know a lot of people already covered the first part when it was released, because it was released on the Cartoon Network app, because the movie in theaters got canceled, unfortunately. So upsetting. I really wanted to go and see that, and seeing Homeward Bound on a big screen right after the sing-along would have been fantastic. But let's get into the episodes, break down a little bit about what has happened through the 4-part finale, and let's get it going. So, we start basically where Fragments left off. We see the door for the bathroom open, and then Jasper walks out, and everybody's, where's Steven? Steven walks out. Then he's obviously super upset. He just healed Jasper from being shattered. He doesn't tell any of the gems. He goes off. He starts walking. Jasper calls him his diamond, or her diamond. And everybody's like, well, why are you calling him that? That's, weird. You shouldn't be calling Steven your diamond. And Steven obviously doesn't want to be a diamond, but we'll get more into that during Homeward Bound, the rest of this episode. So he rushes out, runs upstairs. He runs up to the warp. He gets followed by Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, Jasper. He tells everybody not to follow him, including Jasper. Tells Jasper, find something better to do with your life. You're pretty pathetic. And then, of course, Garnet hits it with the, will always be your family, which already a tearjerker, and we're just starting out. But most of this episode is, fairly not a tearjerker episode. We'll get more into that in a couple episodes when we hit I Am My Monster. He runs the warp. Stops gems. As soon as he gets to Homeworld, he sees what's going on. Homeworld's in Era 3. All the thrones are empty. None of the gems are, the diamonds aren't sitting on their thrones. And there's tours going around showing all the gems, what had been going on in past Era 3, or Era 1, Era 2, knowledge, stuff that we don't get to know because we don't need to know the history of the diamonds, even though we want to. Our story is about Steven flippin' Universe. And, that's what we've been seeing. So he goes through, he sees Spinel. Spinel. I don't know why, she's so great. She goes through, she sees them, she goes through, and he's like, well, I've had some issues, and with this form or whatever, and she's like, alright, well, let's go see Yellow Diamond. So Yellow Diamond has what's going on. She's got her new powers that she's using. She's taking apart the old gems that she has shattered and put into clusters, unbubbling them, going through and piecing them back together to reform the gems, and then fixing them so they are, full-sized humans, or gems, back to their original state. She goes through, she tries to help Steven after he has a little outburst. He changes her size, or she changes his size a little bit, makes him smaller, makes him bigger. It's not going well, it's not what Steven wants. Steven wants to be him, and then she realizes that, well, maybe it's an emotional issue. She sends him over to Blue Diamond. So Blue Diamond's like, alright, Steven, you got some issues. I got a new power. I don't make people cry or be sad anymore. My tears evaporated away and became these lovely clouds that just make you happy all the time. So we go through, Steven's trying to not deal with the clouds, push them away, but eventually the clouds come, touch him. Blue sings her song. He's floating away. He's like, wait, this isn't right. You can't just make me feel better. She's like, no, literally, that's my new power. I just make you feel better. He's like, well, you know, he wants to be better, not just feel better. So he's like, all right, out of here. Blue said, well, if it's self-worth, that might be your issue. Go see White Diamond. White Diamond's apparently doing all these charity type deals now, instead of being this hardcore ruler over the gem world and the universe that she has essentially colonized and whatnot. So Spinel, we find out from Spinel that she's been going through and she's been giving the voice to the small gems, and that she has the opposite of what her power used to be, which she used to take control of people. So Steven's like, wow, what do you mean? Well, she got the opposite of what she used to have. So Spinel goes through, connects with White Diamond, and she is now she possesses White Diamond. So instead of White Diamond possessing other gems get to control her. So we see Spinel have a little fun, do a little dance, jiggy jig, and then White Diamond's like, all right, that's enough. Let me and Steven be. So we go through, we see them. She lets Steven take over. Steven has a little bit of fun with it, but then, like, at the very instant, he has the smallest bit of fun with it, and then he realizes he's a diamond. He is a diamond, but, like, now he looks like a diamond. That's not what he wants. It's the farthest thing from what he wants. He doesn't want to be anything like his mom, who was Pink Diamond, and now he's looking at essentially what he would be if he was really a diamond, up there in the sky. And he goes through, he gets a little messed up in the head. He goes through and he tries to shatter White. What? Because White Diamond causes all the pain and had caused everything that he'd ever been through, with his mom's issues and then his issues and everything that has happened from the original series. And I mean, the Diamonds were the original enemy from way back in the beginning. So that's not what he wants. He gets scared. He runs off. He goes back to homeworld, or back to Earth, his homeworld. And as soon as he gets back, he goes through. He gets a call from Connie. She's like, hey, everything okay? He's like, yeah, fine. He's like, I've had maybe some issues with swelling, but, you know, it's cool, whatever. He goes through, hangs up on her, and he's like, you know what? I'm Steven Universe. I'm going to be Steven Universe and just do the Steven Universe stuff. So he goes through, and the gems are like, what happened to you? And he's like, nothing, I'm fine. Even though he saw his diamond eyes. So we are now, like, Pink Diamond Steven. Steven's mind, like, whatever he thinks, however he feels, changes the way that he looks, in his appearance, obviously. So that is what's going on. He's thinking himself as a diamond, being as powerful as a diamond, but also kind of trying to hold on to his humanity, a little bit, what's left of it at this point, kind of. So we go through, we see him with his diamond, and he's going through, and he's just going to go help people. He's going to be Steven Universe and go help everybody, because that's what Steven Universe does. So he goes through, and he does some various different things. He goes through and tries to help Peridot, creates a bunch of Steven plants just by the tiniest little spit. And then he goes through to Bismuth, and he tries to help, like, do some delicate stuff with the armor, instantly shatters the anvil with the tiniest little hit. And he goes to play some baseball, and he's like, yeah, he caught a baseball right before it hit the window, saves everything. He didn't mess up. Then he lets out, which essentially Pink Diamond's power is like a ghostly whale. If you've seen, Danny Phantom, he goes through, bam, shatters everything. Half a homeworld is destroyed. So he just continues to run away from his problems. That seems to be a little bit of a recurring theme here. Steven just running and running and running away from his problems. So, everything's fine. As we continue through, he gets back home, and there's an intervention going on. We see Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, Greg, Connie, all sitting there. Steven, we care about you. We just want you to talk to us. Let us know what is going on. Essentially, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl are just, letting him say he was fine and just letting it be. But obviously, they're all worried. He tells them that he doesn't want them to worry. Connie's like, well, it doesn't matter. We're worried anyway. You need to talk to us. Let us know what is going on. That big old brain of yours. he goes through, he admits to everything he's done, running away, trying to shatter White Diamond, actually shattering Jasper, and the gems don't know what to think. Connie's like, are you kidding? Like, you gotta be joking, right? You didn't actually shatter Jasper. But of course, we saw fragments. It happened. So he goes through, admits it. He says that, you guys never have to worry about anything. I can just continue to mess up over and over and over, and then he'll just fix it. And he's been doing that since, like, the original series. Everything that he's done, he had got to a point that he realized that his emotions weren't as important as the comfort and emotions of the people around him, or the gems, or whatever. He wants everybody else to feel better, and he doesn't care how he feels as long as everybody else around him is doing A-okay. But then he admits, and he feels like he's a monster for letting this go on for so long. So he is his monster. We go through, we see the shooting out of his back, and cut. Then we go to I Am My Monster, where we go through, we see various people around the city, and we just hear this, do, and see everything shake, and do, and everything shakes. So eventually, the B team, as I've seen them called, Peridot, Lapis, and Bismuth show up. They're like, hey, there's this giant freaking monster. What are we going to do about it? It's Godzilla. We got to take it down. And Garnet's like, no, that's Steven. They're like, oh, snap. What do you mean? So, we're not going to talk about what happened to Steven. We're just going to say that, we're not going to talk about the terminology that people want to use for the form or what caused Steven to turn in this form. I'm going to say that he's just, based off of his emotions we've seen before, like in many birthdays, that he just feels old, so he gets older, and we've seen, like, when he's fighting Jasper, like, he starts to feel stronger, so he appears stronger, and when he was Pink Diamond, he felt like a diamond, so he resembled more of a diamond. So, I think that he feels like a monster. He is a monster, and he will be that as long as he thinks he's a monster. He will be a monster, as we have seen Garnet specify in this episode. Shapeshift into the Worm Boy, what we thought was a Worm Boy, but obviously we just saw, like, his neck up. Big old neck, very different from original Steven, which had no neck at all. Go through. The gems try to split up and try to stop Steven from, they don't want to hurt him, obviously. It's still Steven. They still believe he is in there, but they do not want him to get to the city, so they send Connie to try to stop, help people in town and try to keep them safe. And then we have the other gems trying to restrain Steven. And then, of course, the diamonds show up. The diamonds are like, whoa, why is the world ending every time we show up? And they're like, hey, that's Steven out there. And they're like, what? What do you mean that's Steven? Yeah, it's Steven. So we go through. Each of the diamonds try to use their new powers to try to help Steven. Yellow tries to use her shape-forming abilities to turn him back to normal. Little Steven. Doesn't work. He's resisting. Blue Diamond's like, well, maybe he needs to be happier first. So she goes through, tries to blow one of her clouds, and he just blows it back. Yellow deflects, so Yellow with Spinel on her shoulder. Both are just giggly all of a sudden. And White's like, hey, I'll try to see if I can connect with him and let him talk to us through me. Well, she goes through, she tries to connect. She shoots beams out of her eyes, falls down. That's not Steven. Which, of course, we know Steven's somewhere deep down inside. Deep down. But he's full of rage and anger from everything that's happened, everything that's been done, from all of his issues from his mother, and then the fighting that he had with his dad earlier in the season, and just continuing to, have these issues and just kind of brush them off so nobody needs to know about them. Sorry, I've got to double check on my notes. I'll try to change Steven back, channel her. So we go through. Connie shows back up. She gives this speech. She goes, hey, Steven's always been there for us. Always. Us. Steven's helped every single person, and that's kind of Steven's problem. But Steven has never had Steven. So they need to show Steven some appreciation and some love like he has shown them over the years. Garnet's like, hey, I got an idea. So we go through, we see Lapis trying to restrain Steven again. We see Peridot flying on Bismuth at one point. And we go through. Garnet gets formed into a giant woman. Another slight callback to the first season. And then we get to go through and they just all hug up on Steven. Give us some love, brother. And so that happens. They're going through. You see one of the best parts. I saw somebody else point out later after I rewatched it. It's the fact that White Diamond is hesitant to touch Steven because in Homeworld Bound she went to touch him and he brushed the finger off, and it all goes back to Change Your Mind where she yanked that little diamond out of his belly button. So, go through, everybody's hugging up on Steven. Connie goes through, uses Lion to show up on his, nose. And everybody's hugging up on him, and he goes through, and she said, I don't have your powers, but gives him a little kiss on the forehead, and he starts bawling, just crying. Just like me and everybody else, for the most part, that watches, finale. Everybody's bawling their eyes out, having a bad time, or a good time. Best time I've ever had crying in my life. If, you know what I mean. Very bittersweet. So he goes through, he wakes up, he's turned back into normal Steven, goes through, sees everybody, kind of gathered around. Eventually he goes through, and we kind of cut to black after that. We go to the last episode, The Future. So we go through, we see him, he's talking to Connie in his room. He mentions that it's been a few months since his breakdown that he had where he became the monster during I Am My Monster. And he's talking about his road trip that he's planning on taking and that he's already said goodbye to pretty much everybody except for the Gems, which obviously this should have been the first people he told. But he's upset and he's not sure how exactly they're going to take it. So he goes through and he's saying goodbye to everybody, and the Gems include, he hasn't said goodbye to Bismuth, Lapis, Peridot. We go through, he gives gifts to everybody, essentially. He goes to them at Little Homeworld, and he gives Lapis some art supplies because she's been getting into art. He gives Peridot his classic Steven shirt because she's afraid she's never going to find another Steven like him. And, she tells him to be the Steven that she wants to see in the world. She puts the shirt on. Oh my goodness. My heart. And Bismuth gets the original Crystal Gem flag. He goes through, he goes home, and he uses the power of Cookie Cats to kind of break down to the main gems that he is leaving. And of course, Cookie Cats don't exist anymore, so he made his own, and we get one of my favorite callbacks ever in the whole show, which is the Gems singing the Cookie Cat rap from episode 1. And I cannot. I wasn't a huge fan. It's the first episode. It's the first episode I watched on the Gem Glow DVD or whatever it was for Volume 1. And it was, it didn't have me super. Well, I was hooked pretty much on the first episode. It's kind of hard not to be. But watching that, I wasn't always the biggest fan of the... but it's grown on me a lot over the years, and just seeing the Gems sing it was the most amazing thing. So he goes through, he breaks down with the Gems, and they're not upset, and he's kind of upset that they're not upset. He talks to his dad, and his dad's like, you're allowed to have feelings, even if they're petty. So, it's okay to, feel how you feel. Eventually he goes through and he gives the diamonds, or he gives the Gems each a gift. Before he leaves, he gives Amethyst his old game systems, and she goes through and she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of your old save files and beat all your high scores and blah, blah, blah. And he goes through to Pearl and gives her his ukulele, and she just kind of nonchalantly is like, yeah, okay, thanks. And Garnet, he gives her his Dream Wedding album that he helped use to plan Ruby and Sapphire's wedding, and he hopes that Garnet will be able to plan his way to. So, go through. They're having some issues. When he's talking to Garnet, he asks, "Hey, did you use your future vision to see that everything's gonna be fine? And that's why the gems aren't upset." And she's like, "No, I couldn't look into your future. That's not for me to do." It's like, okay, whatevs. He goes through, and that's when he goes through and has a conversation with Greg, and was upset that they're not upset. Eventually, we get to the end, and he finally, the last gift he gives is Steven gives Greg his old room. Because Greg's finally settling down, and Steven's moving out, trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. And then we go through, eventually he's leaving, he goes off, says goodbye to everybody. Connie, Greg, and the gems are there, waiting for, to see him off. He drives his Dondai out, he hits the brakes, reverses up, bawling his eyes out. He said, "Guys, aren't you upset that I'm leaving?" And the gems just burst into tears. Everybody's super upset. They're like, "Of course, we've seen you leave." And Garnet, she admits that she had to look into Steven's future because she couldn't help herself, and she saw at least one possibility that if he was there and saw them crying, he would not leave. But this is what Steven needs to do. He's dead set on going out in the world. So that's it. Steven tells the gems that he's going to miss him. He loves him, and drives off into the sunset. And that's where Steven Universe Future ends. Just on his road trip, the road to discovery, and what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen next. Obviously, there's a lot of other things. I don't just cover Steven Universe. And I'm not going to finish with this last episode of this last video with Steven Universe. We're going to talk more. Eventually, there's some more stuff to talk about, some possibilities that may happen for the characters in their own future. But that's it for this one. We've got the other episodes covered in other videos if you want to check that out. I've done some other things too. I've got some other things coming in the upcoming week. I upload at least once a week here on Geekborn. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how much you cried and how much you loved or hated it. And thanks again. Remember, some of us are just born geeky. Have a good one.